everybody, welcome back to another Wonderful Plant Wednesday. I'm Sarah Bouboulis, Habitat Project Coordinator for the Partnership for the Delaware Estuary, and on Wonderful Plant Wednesday we talk about native plants you can plant in your yard for clean water, healthy habitats, and strong communities, which is really the mission here at the Partnership for the Delaware Estuary. If this is your first time watching Wonderful Plant Wednesday, welcome. You can go to our Facebook page or our Instagram TV on our Instagram and see all the past episodes of Wonderful Plant Wednesday. And if you have any questions about the plant that we're talking about today, feel free to leave them in the comments and I will answer them as I see them or at the end. And if you're not seeing this live, which a lot of you might not be, feel free to leave questions in the comments and I will answer them later as I see them. So don't worry about that, I'll get to you. So let's get to it. Today's plant. This is Penstemon digitalis, or Foxglove Beardtongue, and that is a mouthful of a name. It's also called tall white beardtongue and probably some other names as well. So let's break it down. You may be familiar with foxgloves, which are another popular garden plant. That are from Europe and Asia, but they're kind of popular, and so this one kind of gets the name foxglove from those plants because those and this one kind of have these dangling buds and dangling flowers that kind of look like fingers, which is where we get glove, look like finger. Fox is just someone's name. It was Fox's glove, the original foxgloves, and now this one kind of looks like that, so that's where it gets its name. Both the foxglove and then the digitalis, which is the actual genus name of the European foxgloves and is the species name of this one, which also refers to fingers, that it looks like fingers, digits. And then beardtongue and penstemon both refer to the stamens of the plant. The stamen is the male pollen producing parts of the flower, and we will try to get a picture of it here. Let's see. All right, that's pretty good. If you can see at the top there are these little white stalks with black on the end. Those are the regular stamens. Those are where the pollen is produced. And then on the bottom there is another white stalk, but it has hairs on it. It's very hairy. And it's a beardtongue, because when you kind of look at it, it kind of looks like a tongue coming out of a mouth, and it's hairy, so it's a beardtongue. So that's where it gets that name. Penstemon refers to there's 5 stamens, and maybe one is fake. The origin was a little confusing there, but 5. There's 4 regular fertile, they're called fertile stamens on the top, and then the one sterile stamen on the bottom. Now, why would they have this infertile stamen? And that's a very interesting story. No one is, entirely sure. But it is thought that, like many flowers, penstemon maybe its ancestors were radially symmetrical, like a lot of flowers. They're a circle, like a sunflower, like a daisy, things like that. But over time, penstemon kind of evolved this more bilateral symmetry, like down the center, like a person. And so their 5 stamens no longer kind of fit in that design. So this one stamen became vestigial, or not as useful, no longer useful, like vestigial organs, things like that. But after it's no longer useful, it slowly evolved perhaps other purposes. Now, penstemons are the largest genus of flowering plants in North America, maybe North America. So there's many penstemons. In the East Coast here, we actually don't have that many. Maybe in our area, maybe 3 or 4, maybe 5 or 6 to go a little further out. So not a whole lot. But on the West Coast, they're very prolific out there. But the use of this beardtongue then kind of varies in different species. In some species, it seems to have no purpose. It doesn't do anything. In others, the beardtongue kind of acts as a lever, and when a bee, so these are pollinated mostly by bees. I had a bee visitor right before I started this video, and I hoped he would stick around, but he did not. But maybe he'll come back, she. But anyway, it will act as a lever and push down the pollen stamens onto, or the anthers, onto the back of the bee. So making there get more pollen onto the bee, which is good for the flower. That's probably not this one. On this one, those have more, they have a little different shape, the ones that act as a lever. This one is more likely to maybe just impede the bee, make it harder for the bee to get in there to get the nectar, so that they spend more time in there, get more pollen on them, do more pollination while they're trying to eat. So it kind of just acts as like a little obstacle course for them. And if a bee comes back, you can kind of see that if they're struggling to get in there. So that's kind of cool. I really thought that was interesting. Hold on. Ooh. So anyway, these are great. I think bees do the primary pollination on this plant, but it also attracts other insects, flies, butterflies, maybe hummingbirds, things like that. They're generally mostly white, and some I can see mine have a little pinkish, some are a little pink or purple to the flowers as well. They only get this tall, about 3 feet. This is still a first-year plant. I just planted this last year, but it will clump more. It'll grow more around its base here, but they don't get much taller than this. And it is very adaptable to a lot of different situations. Oh, is there a bee? I saw a bee. There's a little fly over on that one. I don't know if you can probably see it. But very adaptable. So they prefer moist, full sun. That is their ideal. They really don't take wet. That's really the only situation they don't take, so no really wet soil. But they'll also tolerate drought. They'll tolerate some sun. They'll tolerate a lot of other rocky soil, a lot of different other conditions, so they're really great. For that, they are generally a little deer tolerant, but again, nothing's deer proof. They are really resistant to different insect and disease problems. They don't really have any of that going on. There are a few caterpillars that will eat the leaves, but nothing dramatic to cause damage to the plant or anything like that. They work well together in that regard. Got a woodpecker talking. Like I said, they form a clump, but they also seed really easily. So you are bound to get more of these if you plant one. They're bound to go all over the place. So look out for that. I think that's a positive, but some people might not always like that. They also do well in disturbed areas because they seed so well. So get this plant is just great. I think it's really attractive, looks good, easy to care for. Does well. You probably can find this at some, specific nurseries, maybe not the average nursery, but it shouldn't be too hard to find. It's generally available in the trade. But also, I just want to, ask your friends, join some Facebook pages. This is how I got this plant, just from people getting rid of some plants. There's a lot of ways to get plants, so, don't be afraid to reach out to find the plants you want. But you could maybe find this one at nurseries as well. Alright, well, that's it for Penstemon digitalis. I don't see any questions, but if you have any, feel free to write them in the comments, either now or when the video's over, and I'll check back and answer questions. Let me see if I can. I'm sad that I'll try to, if the bee comes back, I'll try to post a video or a photo in the comments of a bee pollinating these guys, because it is really cool just to see. They just crawl in that little tube there and get their nectar. There's a little fly over here, or a little bee, or a syrphid fly, I'm not sure. See them there. Alright, well that's it for Wonderful Plant Wednesday. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next week.